We all hear the same advice over and over. Get more exercise, just do it, right? But what if that simple phrase is, well, missing the whole point? For all we know about the benefits of moving our bodies, scientists are really just now starting to figure out how it all works on a molecular level. So today, we're going to dig into this absolutely groundbreaking project to create the first ever detailed map of exercise and what it could mean for the future of, well, all of our health.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to tackle this weird problem I'm calling the prescription paradox. Then, we'll get into the massive study that's trying to solve it, how they're pulling it off, some of the first really surprising clues they've found, and finally, what this all means for a future where fitness could be truly personalized. Let's jump in.
Okay, so let's start with this idea, the prescription paradox. It really gets at a strange blind spot in modern medicine when you think about physical activity.
I mean, think about it. We all know exercise is one of the most powerful tools out there to prevent chronic disease, maybe the most powerful. But when you go to the doctor, the advice is usually pretty general, isn't it? Try to get 30 minutes a day. So what's with the disconnect? Why can't a doctor rate you a prescription for a specific workout with the same precision as a pill? And this really gets to the heart of the problem. A drug prescription? It's laser-focused, a precise dose, hitting a specific molecular target for a predictable result. But exercise? The advice is basically one size fits all. Why? Because we don't actually know most of the molecular targets, and that leads to totally different results for different people. So how in the world do we close that gap? Well, it turns out the answer is this massive scientific project called the MoTrPAC study. MoTrPAC, yeah, it's a mouthful. It stands for Molecular Transducers of Physical Activity Consortium. But its goal is actually really simple to understand, even if it's incredibly ambitious. It's an enormous project funded by the NIH to create the very first comprehensive molecular map of every little thing that happens inside our bodies when we exercise. And when I say enormous, I'm not kidding. The NIH is pouring $240 million into this. This is not just another study. It's the largest investment of its kind ever. That tells you just how important it is to finally crack this code. And to really get a sense of the scale here, just listen to how one of the lead scientists, Dr. Brett Goodpaster, puts it. He says it's like doing a mini human genome project on each participant. Just let that sink in. We're talking about a level of detail that is just mind-blowing. They're not just tracking your heart rate, they are decoding your body's entire molecular response from the ground up. So how do you even begin to build a molecular map of the human body? I mean, what does a study on this scale actually look like in practice? Well, it all starts with people, almost 2,000 of them to be exact. The study recruited this huge, diverse group of adults, some who never work out, some who are elite athletes, and everyone in between, across all different ages, all to get the most complete picture possible. And the game plan is super methodical. First, you get that diverse group of people. Then they're put on a very specific, supervised 12-week training program. Some do endurance, some do resistance training. Now here's the most important part, step 3. They collect biological samples before, during, and after every single workout. And finally, all that data gets crunched to start building the map. And the amount of data they're collecting from every single person it's just staggering. We're not just talking about a blood draw. They're taking tiny biopsies from muscle and fat tissue, doing full body scans, running all kinds of fitness and strength tests. I mean, this is what it takes to do a mini human genome project for exercise. Now, the full analysis of the human data is still in the works, but the team also ran studies on animals in parallel. And believe me, those early results have already turned up something that nobody was expecting. So what do you think it was? Out of all this incredibly complex data, what was the one thing that really made the scientists sit up and say, whoa? The answer is so simple, but its implications are huge. It turns out that at the molecular level, male and female bodies respond to exercise in completely fundamentally different ways. And we're not talking about small differences here. This was a massive pattern that pretty much caught everyone by surprise. And when you dig into the details from the animal studies, it's just fascinating. So, for example, in the liver, male and female bodies use totally different metabolic pathways to adapt to exercise. Look at fat tissue. Males lost body fat, but females didn't, but their cells showed changes in different signaling pathways instead. Even the kidneys showed a massive number of changes in both, but the kind of changes were completely different. This wasn't one little difference. It was a cascade of them everywhere. And again,
This wasn't some minor finding. The study's own steering committee chair, Dr. Wendy Court, said her colleagues were just blown away by the number, magnitude, and variability of these differences between the sexes. A discovery this big could totally reshape how we think about exercise science.
So let's bring it all home. Let's go back to that original paradox. What does discovering all these tiny molecular details actually mean for the future of exercise? Well, the end game here is something called precision medicine. And the key to that future might just be these special little molecules called exerkines. The easiest way to think of them is like tiny messengers. When you exercise, your body releases them into your bloodstream, and they travel all over, delivering the benefits of your workout to your heart, your brain, pretty much everywhere. And that's the ultimate prize for MoTrPAC, to identify all these different exercines and finally build that complete molecular map. Because if we can understand which kind of exercise releases which messengers in which kind of person, we can finally figure out exactly how exercise works its magic. And then we can start tailoring it for specific results. Which leads us to this final, really powerful question. Can you imagine a future where your workout isn't just prescribed to burn calories, but to trigger a specific molecular response in your body to achieve a targeted health goal? Almost like a precision drug designed just for you. That is the incredible future this molecular map could unlock. And it really shows us that just do it was never the end of the advice. It was just the beginning of a much bigger conversation.